let's bring in our first guest of the day, Danny Halper. He's the owner, operator, and operations manager for Drag the Water. Danny, thanks for being with us.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you again. It's been a while.
Yeah, lots happened.
And tell us, I will say, let's just start out with, for people who aren't familiar with what you're doing, bring us up to speed.
Oh, I take industrial strength magnets, anywhere from, well, I use anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 pound pull strength, but you can get them anywhere from 100 all the way up to like 3,800. You just connect them to preferably a high tensile rope, that's got a high braking, its max braking load is somewhere between 2,000 and 4,000 pounds. So you're not going to snap it if you have to hook it up to something like a truck if you get caught or stuck.
Okay, so let's back it up just a little bit, Danny. Let's go back to the beginning here. You guys take magnets.
Yeah.
And you drag the waterways.
Yeah, you just throw it out there and just pull it in. Simple.
Okay. So your name is, it's pretty self-explanatory, Drag the Water.
Yeah.
But why did you get into this to begin with?
I was laid off during COVID last year, about a year ago, and I just saw an ad on Facebook of a guy throwing a magnet in a river, and I thought this ought to be fun. It looks pretty interesting. So I went and got one, and then the rest is history. Here we are,
So I love that because it really is just about, being exposed. So since you've started, yeah. I've noticed since our last interview, it seems like what you're doing and so many other people are doing is really gaining in popularity. It's almost become this thing for people to do.
Yeah, it's really taken off. Like when I started a year ago, there was literally just a handful of people that was doing it over here. Over in the UK, it had taken off, a couple of years prior, so that was nothing new to them. But it was just starting over here, and now a year later, I look back and it's like, look at all the people that have gotten into it. I mean, I know just from my page on Facebook, I started at September 7th, and I'm one person away from 2,000 people on it. I mean, it's just exploded, and I see other people's pages and YouTube's just going off, and I'm glad it's getting all this popularity. It's bringing awareness to cleaning up the water and how much trash is really under the water that you don't see. So it's a good thing all around. You find some cool things. Sometimes you find things that you can sell and make money, and you're cleaning up the water. You can take your scrap back. Like we took ours back about a month ago and made $226, a little over 2,000 pounds of scrap just out of the rivers in 7 months. I mean, it's just, it pays, it's rewarding in all aspects.
Danny Halper with us here on the MegaCast. He's the owner and operations manager for Drag the Water, which is a local, you have a kind of a partner in crime. You guys just go out with a magnet, you throw it in the water, and you drag the bottom. Just try to see what you can come up with that. And with that, Danny, tell us, is this a hobby or do you think you can make this a career?
Right now, it's just a hobby. We're making a little bit off of, the scrap that we take back. I've sold a few signs and a couple other items. We're sponsored by a couple different companies, so we do make a little bit of money off of the sales of kits if people buy them through our links. It would be nice to do this as a career because I really enjoy doing this. Because now we're doing metal detecting as well. So it's like the whole treasure hunting aspect, So it would be fun to do this as a career. If I guess that's the goal, is to eventually be able to do that. But I just see it being a hobby, just a hobby that pays, like a side gig.
With that, Danny, I was just about to ask how much of this is about more the treasure hunt. It's like modern day treasure hunting, right? Versus trying to help the environment, or does it just all come together as one?
for me, it's just all together as one, because as we're pulling up the scrap out of the rivers, I'm thinking in my head, yeah, that's another 20 pounds worth of scrap. Well, that's another, 30 pounds. And it all adds up, because I know how much we made on our last load. And it's like, we're cleaning the waters and we're making money doing it. So it's all rewarding, the whole thing, the treasure hunting, because when you find something cool, that definitely makes it worth it too, and keeps your interest. So it's just a great hobby to get into, if you like being outside and finding history and helping the environment by pulling out this nasty metal that's been under there for who knows how long.
So what's the most interesting thing you and your team have found under the
Jared,
water?
yeah, let's see. Most interesting thing? Oh, I well, 3 weekends ago in Grand Rapids, I pulled out I don't know the year, but it's probably anywhere between 1940, 1960. It's for like running track and field, the starting cap pistols, the blank guns they use. I pulled one of those out. That was pretty interesting. I've never seen one of them before.
And you wonder, how in the world did it end up in the waterway, right? It's not a
Exactly.
real gun. Real guns we understand.
Right. Like, I don't know how good this will work, but
No, that works. Yeah.
it's right there. I mean, that's interesting. I never pulled up anything like that. I mean, but that day was a special day. In literally an hour's time, I pulled up 3 different guns. I got that Smith and Wesson. Oh, how good it's showing. And then we got this. I pulled up this 22 caliber Smith and or Savage. It was only made for 4 years, 1964 to 1968,
Wow.
and that was pretty cool. I mean, I'd say, Jared pulled up a cannonball too. We think.
So on top of this, you almost have to play detective with some of
Yeah,
the items that you're discovering.
basically, yeah. I mean, it's researching it is half of the fun, really, because then you're really finding out what you pulled up, and then it makes you either that much more excited, or and want to find out more about it, or you're just like, oh, that's not what I thought it was, and then it goes into the scrap pile. That's happened a few times. Oh,
So with that, Danny, I have to say too, as someone who used to work for ATF, a lot of people will throw guns that have been used to commit crimes into
oh
the
yeah.
waterways. Are you afraid that what you're pulling up has been used in a crime to take someone's life?
Oh, I'm sure, and that goes through every magnet fisherman that's pulled out a firearm. You gotta wonder why it's there. I mean, it's pretty suspect, but the ones that we're finding are old. Like the most recent one I think we pulled out was something in the 40s. I mean, I personally have not found anything recent. I mean, I know others have, and I know they turn them in, but the ones we find, we can't even find a serial number on them. I mean, they're just nasty. But I want to show this off real quick. I don't know if you heard, but a group we know out of Grand Rapids, Rustic Treasure Hunters, pulled out a 75 millimeter armor piercing artillery shell. It was from a Sherman tank from World War II. I think it was a couple of weekends ago. They shut down the 6th Street Bridge for an hour and called the bomb squad in. That's
Wow.
pretty crazy. Like, oh, wrong way.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not more prepared. I
No,
mean,
no, no, no. It's good.
this
We
is the
saw
guy
it.
that found it.
Yeah.
That's Chris Campbell. He's the one that actually found it. They closed the bridge down, like you can see. Grand Rapids Police, they shut everything down. Yeah. Oh, darn it. They took it so serious. I mean, they have to take it seriously, but they ended up detonating it in a controlled blow up. They blew the thing up. But I just thought, like, what would I do in that situation if I pulled up something like that? I would be scared. Like, wow, I have a live round in my hand. At least I think it is. I would treat it that way. But it's like, what was that doing in the river? You know what I mean? Like, why?
Right. And how long has it been there? Danny Halper
Right.
with us here on the MegaCast. He's the owner, operator, and operations manager for Drag the Water. And with that, Danny, I know you guys recently did kind of a Drag the Water event at the Rouge River.
Yeah,
That,
that was last
you know,
weekend.
it's it's good that you can only get metal because I hate to
Yeah,
think of the other things that are in the river.
like, well, here was one of the things the guys pulled out, a big old safe. I mean,
Were
that thing
you
was at
able to
least
open the safe?
four. Oh, they already had the door blown off of it and
Uh,
everything. Like, you can see it already had been tampered with.
wow, so your metals are that strong that they can pull up something that
um,
heavy?
that actually that actually took like 7 people and then two
Wow.
people down below. Yeah, I wasn't there for that. We actually um led the Fort Street Bridge cleanup. That was my area, and all the other guys went to Jefferson Street. So they had gotten that before we had actually went down there to meet up with them a little bit later on. But a few handguns were found, like 357 that somebody pulled on. I think Ryan from Rustic Treasure Hunter got that one. Oh, Jared's aunt, her first time out, pulled out this half a shotgun.
Huh.
I mean, like, what luck, you know? She's hooked now. She definitely went out and bought one.
So,
Once you do
have you guys
know,
been able to kind of coordinate with law enforcement agencies? Do they like that people such as yourself are doing this on the side as a hobby?
well, we've been like stopped a couple, not really stopped, but they stopped a couple times in Grand Rapids recently, and they're into it as much as we are. I mean, they're like, "Hey, you guys get anything good today? You know, like how's it going? You got, you know?" And the one officer was like, "Well, let me see you throw that thing out there." So I mean, they're interested to see what we pull up too, because I'm sure they're just waiting for that handgun that's a couple years old that somebody finds to solve a cold or some kind of case. I mean, they're kind of I mean, this is just my thinking. Maybe they're kind of dependent on us to help them with evidence in a sense, you know.
Right.
Like I say, I've never pulled out anything like that, but um, Toothless Outdoors has, Rustic Treasure Hunters have, you know. I mean, it's I don't they none of them have ever had a problem with it. I mean, we've been, like I said before on the previous interview, we were stopped by DNR, and they were cool with it. They were like, well, thanks for cleaning up this river, you know.
Right. So you're helping the environment. You're spending your time doing something that you think's interesting. I feel like this is kind of the modern day treasure hunt. How deep can you go?
Well, for instance, when we were in the Rouge, in the middle of the bridge, I was at the end of my 65-foot rope and with like 2 or 3 feet to spare. So 65 feet straight down from a bridge, you know. I mean, it's probably 30 feet of water with 20 to 25 feet of space between the water and the bridge. So 65 feet is my max, but the deepest I'm usually it's like 12 to 15 feet maybe, and lower. I mean, usually I'm not searching for deep water, because then when I throw it way out there, it takes that much more rope to bring it in, and it kind of defeats the purpose for throwing it out there, because it's not going to stay there. But when you're in like 10 to 15 feet of water, you throw it 50 feet out there, it's going to drop and stay, and then you're able to pull in that 50 feet, instead of like 10 feet if you were in a deeper water. You kind
Right.
of got to like plan for it, kind of study your water, kind of know where you're going in a sense. Like when we went to the Rouge, I had no idea, never been there before, nothing. So had I known, I probably would have brought the 100-foot rope.
Yeah, the Rouge is an interesting waterway with that. So Danny Hepler with us here. He's the owner operator for Drag the Water. Danny, we're running a little bit behind, but before we go, what is the weight that you can lift your magnets when you find things?
Yeah, I get asked this all the time. People ask that question, like, how much can I actually pull up? Like, what's the max? Well, this is how I figure it. in a perfect setting, clean metal, clean magnet, no water, dirt, nothing. You're probably, if you have, let's just use a 1,200 pound for an example, you're probably going to be able to pull up 80 pounds. It's not, I'm probably wrong, but, and this is my experience, it's not what it says. I mean, it says, yeah, they could pull up 1,200 pounds, but when am I realistically ever going to pull up a 1,200 pound object? It's just not
Right.
going to happen. So when I buy a magnet or look or tell people, you know, it's like it's like 25% is what you're gonna pull up of what the magnet says, because when it gets in the water, it's gonna be wet, it's gonna get dirty, it's gonna have magnetic sand and rocks and whatever else and sludge and clay, whatever that bottom has in the river. So I can personally, the heaviest thing I've ever pulled up was an anvil that was like 75, 80 pounds. And that was with my Magnetar Beast, which can pull up to what, just under 3,100 pounds, it says, which realistically, I'm never going to pull anything up like that. And I'm pretty sure that magnet isn't either, you know?
It's still
So
interesting though, right?
it
Danny
is,
Halper
it
with
is.
us here on the MegaCast. He's the owner operator for Drag the Water. You guys have a Facebook page as well as a YouTube video. Danny, we wish you and Jared the best of luck, but also I know this is kind of modern day treasure hunting and so many more people are getting involved. But at the end of the day, we all benefit because you guys are cleaning up our waterways and it was just Earth Day. So thank you for your treasure hunting.
I gotta say one thing real quick. I'm doing a sticker giveaway, and it's to try to get people to watch. The code word is "stuck on you." For anybody that's watching and stuck around this long to watch it, "stuck on you." Get a hold of me. I'll give you a sticker. But
Okay,
yeah, thanks for having us. And
stuck
yeah,
on you.
"stuck on
That's
you."
fun.
Anybody
Okay.
watching and messages me that, they're gonna get a free sticker. So, or maybe 2 stickers. We'll see.
Well, Danny, it's been great having you. Good to check in with you guys, and we wish you continued luck. But also, thank you for what you're doing, because I know that you started it as a hobby while you were unemployed during the pandemic. But at the end of the day, it's also helping our environment. So, thank you.